Hey, whoops. We don't want it to go again. Okay, good morning, everyone. It was recording on Instagram at the same time. So good morning, everyone. It has been a long, long time since I have done a dog connection show as well as a golden life show. So I wanted to explain to you that we have started the Golden Life Community, and this is an organization that is a um, it's a lifestyle empowerment organization for mature women. And the reason that we started this was based on my own personal experience. So during all of this, we realized that the power of a dog is so instrumental and so exciting for an older woman like myself. So today we're going to share some of the stories that older women, and I don't want to say older women, let's say mature women, because we have Frankie Picasso with us today, and she's although she's the golden, she's not my age, which is 77. So now what is the exciting part about all of this is, I guess what happens is women get, when they get older, they realize that their life has changed, because whether you realize it or not, you change over and over and over again in your lifetime. And now I'm in a lifetime where I've been single, I've been married, been divorced, I've been in a battered marriage, and I've also been widowed, and now I'm single again. So I've made all these transitions, and every time you go through this, you make a whole new lifestyle. So wait, somebody said, hang on here a second. I'm going to bring on, uh, um, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've done this. So anyway, I'm going to bring in Frankie Picasso and my longtime partner. Hang on here. Why is it not working? Add to stage. There we go. Add to stage. There we go. Okay. And my longtime former partner, Lou Cataruza, but still my very, very good friend. And here is Roman. Everyone remembers Roman as our co-host from before. Good morning, Roman. We haven't
Good
done
morning.
these in so long. Yeah. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Uh, so today, what we're talking about is, as we said, is about being an older woman and the types of things that are most important to an older woman. The power of a dog has always created such a stigma in some areas because I think people don't really understand the power. Uh, the story that I want to tell you about is my own personal story. So let me begin with that. There has been a time in my life when I realized that I was younger, and I realized that I was almost like the Pied Piper of dogs. What happened was every time I was around a dog, I could walk into somebody's house and the dog gravitated to me. And I think the major reason was because I was able to convince or had the energy about me that let the dog know that I was safe, that I was a friend, that I wasn't going to harm them. So through the years, I realized that if I could talk to a dog or if I could have an energy that was calming to a dog, that other people should be able to do that too. So the time when it was most important to me was when I was in a battered marriage. I ended up in a shelter and they would not allow me to bring my dog in. So I was in hiding, so to speak, and my dog had to stay in the car because dogs were not allowed. So here I would look at Maggie through the window and I would think, God, I can't let her be there. So even though I was in the shelter, I went and I slept in my car so that I could be with her because I did not want her to be alone. So I formed this bond that realized that she was at the heart level with me. She meant more to me than anything else. And when that happened from that point, the closeness that we had was just phenomenal, really, really very phenomenal. And I had only had her for a short period of time at that time. So she was young and she got to know me through the years after that. She would almost read my thoughts. She knew exactly what I wanted. I never trained her. I was able to just talk with her or think something, and it seemed as though she telepathically knew what I was feeling. So, with that in mind, now I would like to bring in Roman so that Roman could talk about how do dogs provide this unconditional love and create this feeling of ease of loneliness and bring joy. So, Roman, go
Well,
ahead.
I haven't reached the God level yet to know why they do it, but I know they're doing it. We have scientific evidence that because of proximity and resonance, the human animal bond is as strong as a human as a parent child connection. And for some magic reason, dogs have this ability. I don't think it's being bred into, it's something that has evolved over time as a species. I do believe that um, we there's a higher level of collective knowledge that happens here between the human collective and the animal collective that seems to have a synergistic bond
Mhm.
as we walk through our spiritual evolution. And I do believe that is the reason why they are connected, why it's such a strong bond. And we know again, like Pythagoreans already talked about that the dogs have same emotions like humans do. In the meantime, who cares about Pythagoreans? Now we have science, and now science says, well, they have emotions just like a 5-year-old, maybe a little bit more, but we don't know sure because we cannot ask dog a question. And then, how do you feel about right now? But we do see from their behavior and their complex family systems that they must have complex behaviors like humans do. And yes, they have grief. And if you leave your dog alone in the car, the dog feels that you're upset about it. And
Don't
we
you
have
feel too
separation.
though? Don't you feel too, Roman, that it not only if you're really connected at the heart level, then um, if you're really connected at the heart level with your dog, then you feel bad leaving him in the car too.
Yeah, but it's both ways. So
Right,
we have to see that symbiotic relationship that we have also in the body, mind, spirit level. And yeah, if you feel upset about it, the dog is like, okay, if you feel upset about it, why don't you take me out? And though there is this emotional communication happens here, it's not always verbal, right? So yeah, I feel there's more to it, and it's difficult for science to prove it. But science is here to confirm something that we already know or want to know. It's not something that tells us it happens or it doesn't happen. So I want to make sure that even though we don't have scientific proof that it happens, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right?
right,
And we should trust our guts. I know people are smart enough sometimes to put their ego space out of it and not projecting their feelings onto the dog so poorly. Um, but I think our listeners here are more advanced from that perspective, and they do feel the same we feel.
right, right. Well, we've got Frankie with us, and Frankie has her and I met. Oh God, what almost 15 years ago, maybe even 20. I'm not really sure how long ago, but Frankie has been involved with dogs for a long time, and she understands the connection at the heart level. So, Frankie, if you wouldn't mind, would you share a story of yours of how you have connected at the heart level with your dog, and why is it important for a mature woman to feel that she should have a dog even if she doesn't have one right now?
Okay, I want to. Can I just go back to what Rowan was talking about just
Sure.
for a sec? Because I was thinking about the animals that I've had that I connected with. A lot of them were pack animals like dogs. So a horse, a cow, different animals like that, you can connect with at the same level as a dog. They're happy to see you. They run up to you. Hi, how are you? If you, as humans, we were little. mostly we're on the more dominant scale. And so they react to us as other family members where we're the mom and they do what we say. Pretty much that's kind of it, right? You're the mom. And you see guilt on their face. You see smiles on their face. You see all of the emotions cross their face and in their eyes. So it is pretty amazing to see that. As a woman, I think everybody, even not just older women, but everybody felt during COVID the need to have someone to love. And that's when the shelters got really busy and the animals were, everybody got a dog to love and cuddle with, because we are also pack animals and we do better, loving somebody and having somebody love us. And I think that was, what dogs provide for older women. I think more mature women too. Like when you're by yourself, it's easier to kind of let yourself go. It's easier not to go out. It's easier not to do a whole bunch of things. And I think when you have a dog or someone to look after, and a lot of these women are probably empty nesters. So, and maybe their husbands have passed or they're gone. You're used to looking after somebody. And so having a dog gives them purpose. It gives them a reason to go outside. It gives them a reason to do things, because you're going to do it for somebody else. What you wouldn't do for yourself, you'll do for your dog. And I think that's really important. That's, a couple of reasons why it's good for women to have a dog. Also, it's security. It's someone to cry into and somebody who understands you and will love you and be happy to see you. And that emotion is the same physiologically as it would be if it was a human coming in and doing the same thing. Because our subconscious, I'm a coach, our subconscious, just like watching a movie, we cry at a movie and we know it's not real. Why do we cry? Because our subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. It just knows what's been input. And so we know we love a dog and we love a human the same, and sometimes more because they're nicer to us, right? They're much nicer to us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's more than a child.
It is more than a child. I'm still grieving. My dog passed away 2 years ago. I'm still grieving every day. I cry. Some people remind me and I'll cry. It's more than that even. Yeah.
Well, then I think you all know where I am right now. My Charlie just turned 17 on December 3rd.
God bless him.
It's like every morning I wake up, is he still breathing? Is he still here? And exactly. You're absolutely right, Roman. That's what happens because it's coming. And I just pray that he goes into sleep, because I really don't want him to go through suffering. I'm homebound and it's hard for me to get out. So for me to be able to take him, get him over to the vet, and we don't have emergency vets here. It's like a 40-minute ride, so what do I do? And as an older, and I call myself an older woman, as an older woman, I feel that what would I do without him? And because I'm at the end of my life, it wouldn't be right for me to adopt, but I certainly can foster.
Yes. And a lot of people, older women are getting senior dogs, because a lot of senior dogs are in shelters and they're not being taken out. But I had a friend who only got senior dogs. And it's heartbreaking to watch them pass, but at the same time, you're giving them, they were loved up until a certain age, and then somebody died or somebody got rid of them. They were too old to play or whatever. And then you bring them in and you give them a really nice, couple of years at the end of their life, which is a really beautiful thing as well.
And Lou, gonna bring you on now, because you had Max for many, many years, and the emotional depth of connecting with your dog at the heart level, he was your best friend.
Yeah, he was just a pleasure to be with. Pleasure to be with.
And he was a chick magnet.
He was a chick magnet, right? He had the same color beard as I had.
Yeah. He was a Westie.
I love that.
No, I have obviously I have a take on this based on my personal philosophy. And I think your dog reflects a lot of who you are. I've been walking, I do my walking. I go past a house where the dog can't stop jumping on a fence and barking his upset out at passerbyers, and I question the owner who has taught that pit bull how to react. he must not be a very nice person if that dog is reflecting on how he's being treated. He is fearful and upset, and he shows his anger that way. So that when you have a dog that loves you the way it does and treats you the way it does, it's really a reflection of who you are. It's you bring love to it, it learns how to love, and it is your need for that reflection back to you, which is how you end up choosing to have him or her react with you. Last night, I went to a couple's house. They had a Chihuahua. She had a hairy Chihuahua that is now 14 years old, and she spent thousands of dollars to take its teeth out because otherwise it was infecting her kidney or something from the poison that it created. I never thought of anything like that. But to show you the depth of how someone will spend as much as possible to keep that joy alive between that relationship of you and this animal. And the thing about the dog is that it's a perfect vehicle to express, to reflect back the love you give to it that you want to get back. It gives it back to you. It's there for you.
Right.
You've created that relationship for you to get what you're not getting. And so I have a friend of mine has 6 dogs in her house.
Yeah.
And she gets them with one leg, 3 legs, and another one with this ailment and then this other ailment. She just gives of herself to these animals.
Exactly. And that's what happens with an old, yeah, right.
And they all come, and the animals are there. And yes, no doubt about that, there's work involved, but it's it's what you do in order to have that come back to you. They're all a loving, caring. I go across the street to see my friend Freddie. He has a dog that Max is a beautiful lab, brown lab, gorgeous brown lab. He's not 10 years old. The day I met him, I had this connection. I rubbed the back part of his back there where it's very sensitive, and his paws were just shaking, and he was just loving it. I had an eye-and-eye connection, and now every time he sees me and I go over there, Freddie says, I don't know what you did with this dog, but you have this connection that he just loves to see you and be with you. Yeah. I think
Roman, why excuse me, Roman, why is it that dogs they sense the energy?
Well, I want to grab something before I get there. A bit back. Dogs do reflect the average of their environment because they're part of that environment. So, for example, if we're in a soccer game and everybody gets excited, we get excited. So it's this group mentality that happens. However, dogs are individuals, and even though they do reflect their environment, they do have their own behavior and their own feelings, right? Behavior doesn't come only from ours and not only from our relationship. They have genetic predispositions, they have environmental factors, they have health conditions, all these play part of it. Some dogs want to love, but they cannot love because their underlying medical condition don't allow them to be affectionate. And even though they want affection, they can't because they have allergies and they feel just miserable. So we have to kind of make sure that a dog that behaves bad at the fence doesn't mean the owner doesn't love him. Sometimes people don't know how to parent dogs and they think like, well, I give him as much freedom as he can and it's just territorial. Sometimes it's breed related. Sometimes the dog is really bored and frustrated. So back to your question again with my ADD, I didn't miss. But your question again?
About the energy. I'm very spiritual, so
Right.
so I look at my dog as a spiritual being, and that I'm connected at the heart level, and the energy that we transfer between each other is a positive energy. And what I find very funny is that if I develop any kind of a negative energy, or I'm going towards somebody, I can hear he'll growl
Right.
because he picks up on that energy from me.
I feel there are dogs that are more developed than others in the, let's call it, spiritual level. It's kind of like their own personal evolution. Some people are more spiritual, some people just know how to change the tires. That's it. We want to make sure that we cannot just put every dog in the same category, and every dog can be spiritual. I know dogs who are not spiritual at all. They're just walking on with their life, doing their own thing. And some dogs will just sit there and watch you, and you kind of feel like judge. You're like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Kind of. And I believe, again, a little bit Pythagorean here, that we have different levels of dog spiritual levels. So we have a teacher dog, we have a healer dog, and we have a companion dog. And those categories go further down. We have a teacher dog, we have a teacher companion, a teacher healer, teacher companion. And we see that each individual category of that spiritual traits, that I would call, have their own abilities. A teacher dog will eventually harm you to get the message over to you.
Mm-hmm.
But a healer dog, because of his idiosyncrasy, he cannot harm you, but he can send you the message, and he can help you heal, and he can help you becoming aware of your healing process. Where a companion dog would say, you know what, I don't like you, I'll just walk away from you and send you that message this way. So you have an active, passive, and in a way, dog that transfer that spirituality to you. And there must be something there, because in all these cultures that we have from the past, either Native Americans or Egyptians or Greeks or Hindu, they all have, in one way or the other, and even African tribes like the Dogon, they all have dog stars and dog people, and there's something going on there. Even some Native American tribe actually says that before the humans arrived on Earth, dogs were here. And dog created the humans number two because they didn't treat the dog well. You must have something going on as a culture to come up with that stuff. It doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
And so there is something going on there, that we are coming from a dark age of religious belief systems, and now we're hitting the other end of, if it's not in a study, it doesn't exist kind of thing. But there is something on the other side and something in the other side, but it's a equilibrium going back and forth. Somewhere in the middle, there is a truth to it. We just have to be open to that. And so, do dogs have spirituality? Yes. They are able to express spirituality? Yes, but limited. Limited because...
But let me ask you, because I want so much to be able to help older women with the Golden Life community and help them to understand that if they embrace a dog into their life, especially if they're lonely or if they're feeling depressed, and that's actually one of the subjects we're going to have about women in particular being misdiagnosed with mental illness strictly because they lost their husband, they're feeling lonely, and now all of a sudden they got the stigma and they're put on a medication. And the truth is that it's not a mental illness. It's a state of mind. Yeah, right. So one of the solutions is having a dog in their life and understanding the value of that dog and the importance. So what we're recommending is creating a mental strength and using dogs as a way to do that. So maybe if we can all address that, what is the strength that a dog can give to an older woman, especially if she's in the stage where, let's say she just lost her husband, or she just got a divorce, or somebody died in her family that was very close to her, and she was feeling as though life is over. She's sitting at home. She's not getting out. She's not showering. And Lou, I think, and some of the broadcasts that you had with Dr. Eva, you may have run into, some women that were depressed or feeling lonely, and they don't want to have that stigma that they're mentally ill, because mentally ill has to get a diagnosis. And the diagnosis is what? Depression. That's not mental illness. That means that, well, I shouldn't say it's not mental illness. It's
mild, but it's not
it's not a good idea to stigmatize mental illness as a disease, something. Mental illness there's a large category. It's a large, broad category, and it's not a black and white. It's not you're mental and you're not. There is issues that simply says if your state of being is not one that is happy, healthy, and joyful, then all you need to do is discover, what is in the way, that barrier, those challenges that you are faced with, and it could be sickness. I mean, listen, people as I mentioned to you before, I've had now for a year an issue with my sinuses, and I'm constantly nasal, and I can't any longer sing like an opera singer. And so, even though I never was, but besides that, the point being is you have to know how to deal with your circumstances at the time that you are faced with. I am 70, I'll be 76 in another few weeks. And I know that my sister, God bless her, she passed at 91, and so there's some longevity genes there, and how the circumstances one deals with those will relate to how comfortable life is.
Yeah.
So I'm praising Elon Musk now that he discovered artificial intelligence that will drive me instead of me driving the car.
Because you pay.
Because you wouldn't pass the license.
Yeah, right.
Get in the car.
Yeah.
So it's in every aspect of it, I think that's the case. Having a dog is a tool, a wonderful tool. I mean, I say it that way only because this is a way for you to express the love that you always have. So you
Exactly.
at the same time. So you either are thinking about your dilemmas or you're thinking about somebody else's dilemmas, right? I'm trying to fix that problem, those issues. Let me feed the dog. Let me wash the dog. Let me take care of the dog. Let me hug the dog.
Go out and get exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think exercise and activities. The fun thing about a dog is that they make us move.
Well, you
They
said something
literally-
before, which is one of the reasons why I haven't gotten a dog. I don't like the idea that it's 18 years old max. I had to put down this wonderful animal that I had such an affection for, and I had such a great relationship, and I had to put him down because he was suffering. He was terribly suffering. So it is an issue for me. But what you said, which is an interesting, is that there are elder dogs today that you could adopt, and that you could still be in the mix. And then you have a relationship with the vet that you or the place that you've taken that dog out of, and hopefully they'll be helpful towards that very end of the life of the animal to be able to do something for it. And so that you don't have to stop adopting or and being participating in the life of something else that's there, that in your act of being with it nurtures you. I keep on telling the story about our oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine that is stimulated through our act of kindness, caring, and gratitude to the dog, to the child, to this, right? So that's our science tells us this. Science says that we are kind, caring, grateful, and that you're in that act of being, then you are putting yourself in the best state you can.
Yeah.
So why not have the best tools around you to be able to do that?
Well, let's talk. Can we talk about one thing? I want to talk about personality and dogs, because not all dogs are right for every person.
That's true.
And if you don't know yourself, how are you going to find the dog that's for you? Because I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And
especially when you're older, right? Yeah. Don't just go and get a dog and then bring it back. Know that you're going to be able to connect with.
Dog. Because I look at service dogs and I think, God, you guys give so much of your life up for others, these service dogs, because they don't get just to run free and play and do what they want when they want. they're in service, and I have so much respect for them. But it also makes me feel sad for them in a way, because but they're doing what they love. I'm hoping that they're doing what they love. They're chosen for that.
They are. I think the act of kindness, caring, and gratitude from either side, the animal doing that for someone, they get back the energy of the stimulation of the same type of hormones that's in them.
Yeah.
Right? It says you got that going on there, and you got this going on here, and it's just through this relationship of kindness, caring, and gratitude on either side that makes things the best they could be. And,
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, I was very, very fortunate to find a veterinarian who came to my house. She specialized in putting my dog down. And as Bongo was, she was injecting him, I was feeding him a hamburger I just made for him, and he's eating this beautiful hamburger as she's injecting him, and he's relaxing. And, we were all hugging him and crying and saying goodbye. It was so beautiful. It really was so nice because he had broken his like elbow and the whole thing. He couldn't walk. He was in so much pain. But she came right away, and we had these moments, and she gave him a lot of love before. She just connected with him. She didn't just try to go, okay, we're gonna do my business. No, she was very loving to him. And then when she took him, she said, we're gonna take him to this memorial, and he's gonna be he was cremated, but he was in a park space with other dogs, and he can come visit and do all this. Because I have 2 other dogs. They're still in their urns, and I kind of felt bad about it. Like I should have let them go free, but it's so hard.
how did you find her?
She, one of my vets, he told me about her. He said, give her a call. Yeah, he couldn't come, but he said, I know this woman, and that was her specialty. So I'm sure there's other vets that specialize in that.
Yeah. Well, the thing for me is because we're doing this Golden Life community, we want to offer things to women that they can feel comfortable with. And because it's a lot is based on my own personal experience, I myself feel that when you lose an animal, it's very hard. When you lose a pet, it's very, very, very hard to get back up and say, oh, I'm going to get another one. Some people say, I never will go through that again. I never want to go through it again. So we also recommend, maybe getting a stuffed animal. I have a little teddy bear that my brother gave me. My brother and sister-in-law gave me because they needed a hug, and I hold that all the time because I'm alone, and I need a hug. Charlie is at an age now where he's not really cuddly anymore. He's too achy. He can hardly see, he can hardly walk, he can, but he'll cuddle, but I can't hug him like I used to be able to. So all those things happen, and they're taken away, but you become blended together. Mm-hmm. And after he goes, I'm saying to myself, there's just no way I really want to go through this again. You've gone through it all your life, but then inside you say, but you have that love inside of you, and there is a dog that could bring that companionship. And for me, I'm looking at things like, the ability in Charlie's case, when I'm not feeling good, he knows when something is wrong with me. If I'm not feeling well, he'll nudge me. He'll let me know, and I'll take my temperature, and I realize, or I take my oxygen, and I realize that my oxygen is very low. He senses that, and he was not trained to do that, but he senses it. And I look at him as also being my health supporter. He's the one that makes me get up. He lets me know he's got to go outside. And those are the signs that, Roman, you could probably address this, how it is important for an older woman especially to recognize the signs that the dog is trying to tell you. Don't just ignore them. Don't just sit on the couch. If they push you, they have to go out. If they see something, you might want to address that.
I'm going to share a little story, very short, about a person who called me a rescue recommendation to surrender his dog. His dog was actually biting the person. He wasn't maybe a person like in the 40s. And his dog was big and actually caused him injury. So what we found out that this person went through grief and had a disorder, and he was supposed to take medication and he didn't, and he fell into depression, and he was working all day on the computer, and when the dog felt him kind of become kind of down, the dog was started reacting and wanted him to get off that chair and take him out for play. Well, the person become violent towards the dog, and the dog violently get back to him. And so we ended up, you know, but after our conversation and after pointing it out that your dog actually tries to tell you something, that something is going on, he's like, oh my God, he is my
healer.
medical alert dog. I'm like, yeah. And he tried to surrender that medical alert dog. Some people pay to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the shift. But on the other hand, may have to pay attention that, you know, people, the golden people, when they start moving in a new home, changing their relationship, friends in the environment start passing, we start feeling lonely, the time getting narrow. It's time to kind of reamp our feelings and come to the conclusion that if I don't love myself, it's not the dog's responsibility to make me feel better. We have to start doing our inner work, and the dog is there to help us. The dog will tell you, hey, you know what? I like what I see. I want to be more of part of that.
Mm-hmm.
If we try to, and sometimes it becomes a toxic relationship. If we want the dog to do things because we want, it's become like an egocentric approach. The dog starts becoming avoidant. So from a secure attachment relationship, we shift over into insecure and avoidant relationship for the dog's perspective. And that is a problem. And then people get frustrated. My dog doesn't love me anymore. I don't like him either. And then
Or they're
the
acting
demons come up,
weird. Yeah. Or they're
right?
acting weird. Yeah.
And then we don't see that the reason why the dog responds is not because we are bad or the dog is bad. It's because something happened in the relationship, and we have to look into that. Well, there are people like me or Frankie, right? And who are able to walk you through the process and identify those multidisciplinary issues that happen in your household, because it's a systemic issue, and point in the right direction so you guys can get back on track, right? Because yeah, we're going through grief, we're moving the house, we're losing our friends, we're losing our safety, our feelings, our neighbor, our money, medication, all these things go out the
Yeah.
roof, and then we feel vulnerable, and then a dog betrays us. Like, why? And it
Yeah.
becomes a vicious circle. So we have to get out of that.
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk about, when you were really connected, dogs communicate telepathically. I used to hear the word water, and that was my dog saying, I need water. And I would go and the bowl is empty. Like, I literally heard him tell me things sometimes.
Yep.
And it was like, some people would go, oh, I just heard that. And they would fluff it off. But I realized it's him talking to me. He actually could telepathically say things. And I just knew from a look, from a whatever, what he wanted from me. And I'm like, but that's like a mother with a newborn. They don't have language, but you know what they want. When you are that connected to something, and people go, well, that's a cry for hunger. That's a cry for, comfort. That's a cry for, same with your dog. It's the
I
same
want
with
to
your dog.
support Frankie on that. And there is scientific evidence that dogs are telepathic.
I know they are.
Rupert Sheldrake has actually a book out, and
Oh, I
there's a
agree.
lot of study done about that. So yes, dogs can be telepathically. All of dogs, not really, but most of the dogs. We just have to kind of tune into that frequency and into that part
I
of listening. It's part of
I was
empathy.
I was just going to say that, yeah, there's a frequency,
Yeah.
there's a vibration that we all have to. It's like a radio dial that when you tap into that, if you realize it, and it's like if I met somebody, this is before I couldn't go out, but when I was at someone's house and their dog was trying to let them know something, it would bother me if they would just say, leave me alone, and totally ignore that dog is trying to cite something out. I mean, I'm the one that if there was a party going on, I'd spend most of my time with the dogs if somebody had them, and there's something about a dog having that trust and wanting to be around people that have that positive energy.
That's
So,
that's why they came to you. The same with me. I've been at like people's homes. And I go, your dog needs to go out. And I go, no, your dog needs to go out. You have to pee right now. They don't know. They don't read the signs, right?
Yeah. There's like a frequency that you're tuned into other dogs.
I love these YouTube videos that of little 1-year-old, 2-year-olds that go over and snuggle and sleep on a dog's stomach.
My kids did
The
that. My
dog
friend.
takes his paw and puts it over him,
Yeah.
and and for me, it's just a beautiful experience of seeing things like that. And
Yeah,
there
but sometimes that's dangerous though too.
that's what I was going to say. Now, on the other hand, my wife would look at that and say, my gosh, what's going to happen
right.
next?"
That's right, because you don't know. You just don't know.
There is that fear that people have that the dog will get if you actually have that fear. They will sense
Yes.
your fear.
Yes.
So it's best to understand that if in fact that does happen, there is a relationship, a bonding that has been created. They're capable of knowing that, having that. I've seen that happen.
Mhm.
So it's I enjoy watching that because it's just so beautiful to see that.
Yeah, it's just that having been there before and see that, especially if you see a dog that or a child that's pulling a dog's tail or pulling their ear or what, you think, oh my God, you don't know what's going to happen. And then the person will say, oh, well, he won't do anything. He's fine. Well, there comes a time when enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
In everybody's life. You know, if somebody is pulling on your hair, get off me.
Exactly. Especially as they get older, they get less tolerant.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, an older dog. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's the thing. See, if somebody comes close to Charlie, I know that if they're going to try and approach him in the wrong way, the fear that comes up in me then transfers to him.
Yeah.
And then he will snap because I'm the one that it's my fault because I'm the one with the fear.
Yeah.
I would say hold on to that a little bit because you may be sensitive since he's telepathic, telling you, I don't like what's happening right now. And then you switch over and says, oh my God, he needs some help.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it's just you. And I know there's the idea that, the person's emotions affect the dog. Each person and each dog is his own responsible for his own emotions. Can you affect them? Yeah, but it's not the reason why.
Right.
Mhm.
Like if he sees you scared, he wants to protect you. But his
Exactly.
behavior is his own choice.
Right. And I understand that, but what I try to do mostly is just kind of do a and then I will say to the person, please don't touch him. Don't try and approach him. Let me show you how. So that happens ahead of time.
Yeah.
So there isn't going to be an incident. Otherwise, if they just come after him, directly, then but it is, and here I am at this age with all this experience, but you still do the same things. So then our next area is, the journey of adoption for an older woman and one that finally says, okay, I want to go. So let's say, for instance, now she says, all right, I'm willing to do that. She goes to a shelter. She does whatever. I agree with Frankie. There needs to be some let's find out what it is that you want. So I think maybe in the Golden Life community, what we should do is help these women to determine what type of a dog do they want and how do we do that?
Yeah.
What are the things that they should look for?
Me personally, considering I'm working usually with dogs and families that have problems with dogs, I noticed that a person who is in the golden age or golden years, they shouldn't directly adopt from a shelter. They should adopt rather from a foster rescue system where there is more understanding and knowledge in the background. The behavior is more, settled. And then from there, we can make an idea, understanding what are my plans, what I want to do. So if I don't have a 5-year plan, I shouldn't adopt a dog at the first place. What kind of enrichment do I want to have? What is my limitations in my community? What kind of dogs can I have? One other thing that I want to look for is what do I expect the dog in my relationship, right? And what freedom can I give my dog? Because it's not about having a dog, it's about how can I have a partner that is equal-ish, right? With me. So if I want to go for walks, I will not be able to get a dog who has 3 legs and I want to wrap up the mountains up and down and all day long. I need to kind of take that in consideration. Do I love to have a senior dog? Yeah, I would love to have a senior dog. Yeah, maybe 2, right? But then can I afford it? Like those
Yeah.
dogs can be very expensive, right? And then we have to look into a contingency plan. So if I get a dog that I like because I prefer the breed, do I have a plan? What happens if something doesn't happen with me and something goes wrong with me? Is that a, can I get the dog to somebody else? Right? I cannot get him back on the
Right.
shelter, right?
Right.
And so we
Right.
have to kind of pay attention to these emotional kind of decisions that we have to go through. And professional like me usually walk into the process doing kind of like a temperament analysis and a personality analysis of both person and the dog and kind of what is a good match. And
Yeah.
usually I ask people to make, give me a choice of three, and we're going to pick which one that would be a better option. And yes, sometimes I have to grab intuitive skills to get further more information about what would be the outcome of that relationship. What role does the dog likely play in that family systemic,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And we have to pay attention to the dog's needs. Am I able to support my dog's needs? There's a hierarchy of needs. Can I comply to all those needs? I cannot have a husky and being on a wheelchair because the dog wouldn't want exercise and I'm able to pull my cart around, right? And I'm not limiting those parts, but we have to take that in consideration. If I have issues with my bones, I cannot have a dog who jumps around on me all day
Right.
long.
Right.
A
Right.
high energy dog is not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the other thing that we have is the idea that when these women come in, they don't want to work, they don't want to be confronted or be concerned about the fact that if the dog gets sick, etc. So we want to be able to offer them that we will bring them to the vet, that will help them with the exit plans, we'll help them with the burial situation, we'll be there for them. So these are women that are there to help other women through their crises, and that I think is what is a beautiful thing. We have Beth Miller, and Beth is actually on the show right now. Beth is the dog-friendly expert at Wagtown, and also the owner of Wagtown, and she is helping us design dog parks that are, we call them wisdom dog parks, where they will help women and also the community to understand what it's like to be in a dog park and have the proper etiquette and et cetera. If you're still on, Beth, that would be great to comment on that. So I guess what we're really saying is that we're taking the Golden Life community with a mascot of a golden retriever called Goldie. And then we've got the dog connection that has just been acquired by the Golden Life community. And through this environment, we're able to say to these women, you've got a friend in me, and that's your dog.
Yeah. Kathy, I just want to, maybe there's a possibility that, or I invite, the community to maybe figure out a way that they could add an extra $5 or $10 a month or whatever. So it goes into a pot, because like Bongo, his arthritis medicine cost $200 a month. That was a lot of money, but I didn't want him to suffer. I wanted him to feel good and be able to go around and live his life. So that's expensive. If you don't have that kind of money, you can't afford to give it to your dog,
That's right.
It's an ongoing expense. So maybe they can pool some expenses. And so when somebody's in real need, they can use that money that everybody's kind of paid into. So everybody gets to have a piece of that pot.
Well, there's an option for the community to work with shelters.
I was just
And
going to say that's part of our plan. Yes,
right,
yes.
and be kind of a temporary foster for those, like let's call it a long-term foster, because I know, understand people, you know, being more vulnerable and more sensitive. Like you cannot just have any dog, and it's just kind of being kind of like a rotating door of dogs coming in and out. And sometimes in the living community we have, and we live in a like small group. Sometimes that can be an issue, having dogs coming in and out, and dogs are barking, and until you get the behavior under control, the neighbors already complaining about it, and they get already the letters in the mail. I would say some rescues who work with specific size of breeds can also take that in consideration. We have a person, we finance it, we support the dog until it's being adopted. And maybe these dogs will be perfect dogs for seniors to be adopted
Perfect.
again. And
Yes,
you,
that's a
you don't
great
get
idea.
time for it, right?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea, and
But
also
it's a
cover the
commitment. You cannot just say, "Oh, I want to go on vacation right now, so pick up the dog. I'm done with it." It's no, you have to be very serious about it.
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, right. Okay, so now Beth writes, Beth is on. So she writes, yes, I'm so very glad that we can let the spirit of the community as well as the dog's life journey guide us to something magical and groundbreaking for multiple industry niches. Yes, totally agree, Beth. Yes, absolutely. This is like my passion right now. You know, I'm at the end of my life. We all know that, and I so want to see dogs being valued and older women being valued. And what a combination to bring the dog together with the woman at the heart level and bring them into a place of safety, a place of camaraderie, and a place of love. So, okay, I think we better say goodbye to everyone. And your last thoughts on all this, Lou. Your
Oh
last
no,
thoughts.
no, I'm just I
Your
completely.
last thought.
I think you're on target to provide a community, to provide a physical community and also virtual community where wisdom is shared about how to have the best experience possible. There is with a dog,
Yeah.
joy, happiness, and a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Um,
And also, so everyone knows from our golden spaces, our physical community, we are going to be broadcasting live around the world from each of the locations and from different local chapters so that everyone can start to learn about what's going on in other parts of the world, different cultures. How do other people deal with their dogs? How do other older companions? You know, I see this monkey where there's this Oriental woman. She's on TikTok all the time, and that's her companion. She walks everywhere. She holds her hand. She walks with this monkey all the time, and the
Mm.
monkey has lost one arm. And it's very endearing. So it's things like that really. So what I'm most excited about is that I think I would love to be able to see where the dogs take power and they help us through. So okay, now you guys get that. That was my ending statement. You guys give your ending statement, Frankie.
I think there's so much value in getting a dog. I think there's so much value in the love and the companionship that they bring and that you can give. And I really think that they give you, the health that you need. And I really hope that, there's a way, and I'm sure there is with all these friends that you have, that people find the right dog for them that is going to bring them all the joy and love and happiness into their lives. And there's so many dogs that need homes that I love that they're going to come from a shelter or they're going to come from, a rehoming opportunity because they deserve it. They
Mhm.
deserve it.
And Roman, we don't
Well,
want to have women alone anymore. We don't want them sitting around and worrying. So what can we offer them?
well, we can offer them encouragement that they should put some place in their heart, open up the heart, get some room in there to be open for a dog to join that relationship. And I think um, one way to do that is to be prepared for that opportunity. So, if I may, I would recommend a book that is dear to me. It's called the Do No Harm Dog Training Book. And the good thing on that is if you start from page 1 and end up in page 296, you have all the potential to do the best possible education and care as possible, right? And you'll be prepared. You know the hierarchy of dog needs. You understand the dog's needs around behavior, how to set it up, how to get eventually a puppy, how to get a young dog in the household, how to prepare him, how to create an enrichment area, and how to create a nice little dog park in your home. We have already an expert already on board, and make that a perfect place for your dog who you want to be with there. Make your home and really a dog friendly home. friendly with the environment, friendly with other people. You educate your dog. You don't expect anything more than that. And yeah, I think being an educated dog parent, if I may call it so, gives the dog a better chance to reach his potential.
Right. Roman, can you put a link into the comments for the book?
Yeah, I will put in the comments. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that would be great. Well, I want to thank everyone. My gosh, what a wonderful show. I missed this. I miss doing this, you guys. We have to start doing this again. Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.